Welcome back to Ta-da 3D Printing. Today I wanted to talk about Etsy's new policy updates and what it means for the 3D printing community. So if you're like me, you've probably been seeing posts, maybe post after post and comment after comment in groups and different websites about Etsy's new update to their policies. It seems like the comments range anywhere from that Etsy's going to do a crackdown on 3D printing to Etsy doesn't care as long as they're making a buck. So it's kind of been interesting to delve into it a little bit, and I wanted to let you know how I am going to react to this as well as what Etsy has told me directly. So Etsy has made changes over the years. When I first started on Etsy in 2017, everything was handmade. And in fact, there was even talk amongst the sellers on whether you could use a sewing machine or a jig or a power tool, even just like a drill. That was kind of taboo to some sellers because it had to be handmade. Things have changed quite a bit over the years, and even Etsy's policies switched from being handmade to you can say that it's handmade, or you had other options. So you could say made by seller, you could say sourced by seller. So they kind of differentiated those, but they were allowing them in different categories. Now they've made a little bit of an update, and they did it quietly without sending any information out. So I think it took people a little bit by surprise when someone was reading the fine print that things had changed. So let's start by reading what it says now. Etsy's creativity standards. This is listed under our house rules, all categories. Etsy's mission is to keep commerce human. We are the marketplace for original items from real people. We stay true to this by connecting buyers with unique items made, designed, handpicked, or sourced by creative sellers around the world. Okay, on with their mission. And then we have these categories: made by a seller, designed by a seller, handpicked by a seller, or sourced by a seller. Etsy reserves the right to remove listings that do not follow our policies. Sellers remain obligated to pay any fees incurred in listing such items. So this is the big one, is made by a seller. Physical items made by a seller by hand or using personal or computerized tools. Items made by a seller include only handcrafted items, hand-altered items, hand-assembled items. Still does not apply to me. Items produced using computerized tools. Physical items that a seller produced in their personal shop or home using computerized tools such as laser printer, 3D printer, CNC, or Cricut machine. These items must be produced based on a seller's original design and are often personalized or customized to a buyer's specification. It gives the example of clothing that's embroidered by a seller using a computerized embroidery machine, tumblers decorated with vinyl stickers printed by a Cricut machine, wedding invitations designed by a seller using software and printed onto stationery using a laser printer. I feel like that's as far as anybody really gets. So there is a little more details here that do apply. The following are examples of items that do not qualify as made by a seller. An item assembled by a seller per the manufacturer's instructions, like a flat pack furniture or a Lego set, and it does show in this photo a Lego R2-D2. It does not qualify as something you can sell. A commercially available base item with only superficial alterations, such as an addition of a simple mass-produced stick-on ornament. And then it shows a face mask with a single sticker added. The sticker probably was not made by the seller, and the face mask clearly was a commercially available. So those do not qualify. But then it says things that do. Listings for items made by a seller must use original photo or video content of the final product. That makes sense. It shouldn't be somebody else's image. When listing personalized or customized items such as monogrammed or engraved accessories, your first image must show a finished, customized item rather than the blank product and placeholder text of your text here. That makes sense. Examples of items that qualify is a handcrafted bowl, a hand-altered t-shirt, hand-assembled keychain, wooden decor made by a seller using automated tools like a laser cutter. That looks gigantic. Bust made by a seller using automated tools like a 3D printer. So it seems like there's enough information there, but not. Then when we get into designed by a seller, of course, this is the seller's original designs that are either produced by the seller or a third party, or they're offered as a digital download. And then handpicked or sourced by a seller doesn't seem like it would apply in any of these cases because it's craft supplies, party supplies, or handpicked vintage items, gift baskets, that sort of thing. But it looks like they have to be very clear on what kind of gift bag, gift box they are. So by just reading that, it seems clear, but it's kind of not at the same time. And so there's been a lot of people, trying to read between the lines. So what I did is I reached out to Etsy and asked them, in my specific situation, was some of my listings okay to sell? Because when I first started selling, they've always been my own design. Even after I shifted from making things with popsicle sticks and X-Acto knives to making things with a Cricut and then making things with the 3D printer, they've always been my design. And I've always focused on miniatures. I added some things to my Etsy listings that were Patreons, partly kind of in a roundabout way because I listed these items at a local booth. I have several videos on that, and they didn't sell. So I added Patreon items. Well, I ended up shutting that booth down because it still didn't do good enough. So I still have these Patreon things. So most of my listings are made by me, but I have a few dolls, things that I've added that go well. And I feel like they do fit to have little cute guys, cute dolls that fit in the scale and fit in with my items. But let's see what Etsy said. Okay, so how I worded it, I'm wondering about the 3D print files. I actually started this and I didn't get anywhere because it timed out. So I'm kind of circling back. I'm wondering about the 3D print files. I've added a couple of dolls to my listings. These dolls, I purchased the design from a designer on Patreon. I'm 3D printing them myself with colors, etc. that fit with my other items. I sell dollhouse miniatures, so these dolls are a cute addition to my other items. I'm wondering if in this case, even though they were not designed by me, it's okay to sell. They were made by me, I 3D printed them. So then the response is from Etsy, since you didn't design the 3D files, you'll need to confirm with the designer that you have commercial rights to sell printed versions. Without those rights, selling isn't allowed. We kindly suggest that because if we receive a notice of one item that is designed for you, even if it was printed and made for you in a 3D printer, we can take action into the item for policy violations. However, if you have the permissions and you are sure that this won't lead to issues with the designer, you are sure about all the Etsy policies, you can continue selling your items and listing them. So the big thing that stands out to me there is commercial rights. Do you have commercial rights to sell? Will the designer care that you're selling? Because even if you do get something on Patreon or different places that you purchase, you may have personal rights or you may have commercial. And I have started selling my designs of my miniatures for personal use. So people can make them for their own dollhouse. They're not allowed by me to make them and put them on Etsy. So that's kind of the defining thing there. How Etsy is going to enforce that, I don't know. I feel like on the one hand, it sounds good because these cute little guys that I've put up, the market is so saturated with Blob Labs. People that are only focused on this, they have done a better job than me. They have more options, more color options, probably better price. I have not sold any of these, even though I've gone the extra step to make my own design. This is a string of pearls pet plant that's based similar to the ivy. I've modified the greenhouse to be a room box so that you can actually put furniture in it. Even though I've incorporated it into my items, I still haven't made sales on these. So it kind of puts me in an interesting situation. This is not the only thing that I've been selling, so it may be different for you. But because of those two things, this newer focus on it needing to be designed by you, or you need to have commercial rights, and the fact that I feel like I'm not making sales, it's not a good use of my time. Where I'm going to go from here is I have 4 listings up. So I have the flower pets, plant pets, rock pets, and then my own string of pearls. I'm going to, for now, leave them up. I've already put the work in. I already have the pictures. I already have the listing up. I did recently start a TikTok shop. So I am also pushing this to TikTok because TikTok has very different rules. But basically, I'm kind of in pause mode to add any more. If I hadn't added any, I don't know that I would have started, but they're already up and I do have the rights to sell them. How long I let that play out, we'll see. How much time I spend trying to incorporate them and do cute videos. I probably have multiple videos that I haven't even posted on YouTube yet of the flower pets. So, I mean, there's still stuff that I have in the works, and we'll see. But I'm going to try to just focus back on just things designed by me and spend time on new creations in that way. Most of my 3D items, I have the physical and the file that you can purchase for personal use up. If I didn't already have that up, I don't know where I would be. But that's where I feel like, okay, I'm up to date. I'm not going to need to spend more time on that. So I'm going to focus on new miniatures and try to continue to push them out as physical items or 3D print files at home. And I do feel a little more comfortable with that because I only have the personal use option available. And I am undecided if I want to get on Patreon and offer commercial use. That's something that I may look into in the future. So that's where I'm going from here. But I do know that a lot of my subscribers are people that sell on Etsy and that make their own designs. So I'm kind of curious to hear from you guys if you feel like it's gonna affect you at all. Maybe you feel better because you know somebody wouldn't be ripping off your design that you didn't offer. Maybe you feel like this is the time to stop selling on Etsy because things are getting a little stricter. So I'm just really curious to hear your thoughts on how you guys are going to move forward. And we'll just continue to see how this plays out and see how Etsy does enforce it. Thanks for watching.